Welcome to The Brain Changers, a podcast about learning how to revolutionize the way you think and live by mastering your mind. We're your hosts, mother and daughter duo Rebekah and Yvonne King from Moonbeam Monday. Our goal is to empower you to live the life you choose by teaching you how to retrain your brain. Some people tell us it sounds like mind control, and it is, but not the way you might think. This is about you taking control of your own mind rather than letting your mind control you, so you can choose to live a life free from the expectations of others. No matter what you've experienced in the past, you can create positive change and transformation by learning how to master your mind. We know this because we've done it. Between us, we've survived cancer and stroke and eliminated debilitating anxiety and depression. We've turned our pain into purpose through the power of our mind, and we're now here to support and guide you to do the same. In this podcast, we share valuable insights about how your brain works, why you think, say, and do the things you do, how to begin the process of change, and why it's necessary. Because we know that when you change your mind, you change your life. Thanks for joining us. Let's go. Hello and welcome back to the Brain Changers podcast. It's great to be back here with you again. I am Rebekah King.
And I'm Yvonne.
Now, today is a really exciting episode for us because we're introducing you for the very first time to our proven 5-step brain framework. Now, we've only recently just created this framework, but in actual fact, this is a framework that we've been using with our clients in private coaching the whole time that we've been in business.
That's right. You might be wondering why we've put this into a framework. Well, the simple answer is that when you have a proven framework, you get proven results. And I guess you can liken that to plans for a building. Even though each building might be different, the plans give the same information. It's like a framework, and anyone can read that, or anyone with the knowledge of building can read that plan and get the information they need to erect that building.
Yeah, that's right. And I think in particular, we really love the synchronicity of that house analogy, don't we? Because, we both come from a building background, and so it works perfectly for us. And while no two coaching clients or sessions are exactly the same, of course, we all are different. We know that when we follow this framework with our clients get results. And essentially, that's what we're there for, is to help our clients get results. So let's dive straight into it. Of course, we're talking about BRAIN. So B.R.A.I.N. The first step in the BRAIN framework is become conscious.
Yes, and it's important for us just to clarify what being conscious means. And really, it's got a lot to do with being aware, as we know, but being aware of our thoughts and being observant of what we're thinking and doing. So obviously, we're talking about the conscious part of our mind, or our mental faculties that are not dulled by sleep. So in other words, we're really alert. The problem is when we're not fully conscious, that's when we obviously are asleep, but obviously also we're not thinking clearly or aware of our actions and or particularly what's going on around us. You could say that we're just moving through life on autopilot. Or another way of saying this is just going through the motions. How often do we hear people say that? So when our life becomes like this, we have real difficulty identifying our feelings, why we feel the way we do, and why we react in certain ways.
Yeah, and we have touched on this before, of course, because until we become conscious or mentally aware of our patterns, of our behaviors and what's driving our responses, we are running on outdated or obsolete programs. So perhaps that could be conditioning or programming that we absorbed as a child, or even those based on traumatic and negative experiences through our life, and even from from the past, or beliefs based on someone else's view of the world, those beliefs and values that we've absorbed at a young age. And even though we may want to think differently consciously, our minds filter information based on these perceptions and these assumptions and beliefs and on our past experiences. And I like to try and explain it like this, because this makes sense to most people. It's kind of like trying to run Windows 10 on an old Amstrad computer. If you had an old computer, an Amstrad or a Commodore, if you tried to run today's software, Windows 10, on one of those computers, it wouldn't work very well, if at all, would it?
That's a great example, Beck. And look, here's a question for you and perhaps for our listeners also. When was the last time you updated your phone? Now,
Probably about a year and a half ago.
yes, of course, most of us upgrade our phones every 2, maybe every 3 years, because software becomes outdated, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So whichever phone you use, there's always a newer, better, more sophisticated version.
Yeah.
So we upgrade.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, few of us remember to upgrade our minds and the software in our minds. So until we become conscious, that is, become observant of our thoughts and actions, or of how our mind works and how we think and the things that we say and do, we won't know what current habits and actions we have and are doing that we may want to change. Because if we were to change some of these things that hold us back and limit us, then it would lead to a far more fulfilling life. And we really want to find out how we could do that, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Like they say, you can't change something if you're not even aware that it's an issue or a problem, or that it exists. Yeah. Okay, cool. So thank you. That's B. Our next step in the brain framework, of course, starts with an R. It is root cause. So this is all about finding the root cause of the problem or the issue, rather than simply finding a way to make the symptom feel better.
Yes. When you don't know the root cause of the issue, and like the current issue, it could be stress, it could be anxiety, you could be feeling emotionally exhausted, procrastinating, questioning your self-worth. There's lots of issues, but when you simply focus on the symptoms rather than the real issue, then it's fair to say that the current circumstances may be triggering or exacerbating this problem, but in all likelihood, this is not the real problem. It's quite likely that it's based on something from our past.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And addressing that underlying problem, that root cause, and working through this with a qualified coach helps you to gain a different perspective of the event, because that's what we're looking for, a different perspective. And then we can remove or lessen the emotional impact that it's having on us. And we can really only begin to heal and change when we take the necessary action to do this.
That's right. Look, it might be useful to give an example of this, and this is something that you've, with your coaching with clients, Beck, have probably come across quite often. And as we've agreed, many of the beliefs and attitudes that we've got today are formed or have come from when we were very young.
Mm.
And a common belief is centered around money. We constantly, or we may have constantly heard when we were children or growing up, when you ask for something, we can't afford that, or money doesn't grow on trees, or even you might have heard the sentiment voiced, people that are wealthy or rich are greedy and dishonest. And it's interesting to see how this could affect us in our adulthood. It could unconsciously stop us from say, applying for a promotion, for example.
Mm.
You might view yourself as poor, or you can't do the things that you really want to do. It might stop you from taking charge of your financial affairs and maybe finding out how you can create more wealth for yourself. So this is showing how it is, how we can see here how these views from our childhood could really hold us back as we get older.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really good example because there's a lot of people uh, who come to us with these money beliefs, or they don't even know that this is an issue. But when they start talking about what it is that they'd really like from life, we're able to start digging and uncover that. And whether it's money or whether it's something else, identifying where these beliefs come from so that we can remove them or change them, not remove them, change them. This can be a real game changer. So again, like we were saying before, it's like updating your mind's software. It's not saying that that belief is right or wrong, but what is it that you want to believe now that's going to help you achieve the outcome that you actually want? And when you address that root cause, you can shift your focus and your energy towards positive change to get the results that you really want.
Yes, and that leads really well into the next part of this is alignment, the A part of the brain. When we talk about being aligned, what we're talking about is being aligned with our actions and behaviors and how these correlate to our core values. When we're not aligned with these values or things that are really important to us, it's going to create an internal conflict. And this can lead to feelings of discomfort, misunderstandings, even to anxiety and depression, because we've got this friction going on between what we're outwardly displaying and what's happening within us.
Yes, of course. And this is often one of the first things that we work on in coaching, because if we go back to the analogy of building the house, this is like the foundation. This is the foundational work. You know, there's nothing solid to build the walls and the roof on in a house if we don't have a solid foundation. And it's quite surprising to a lot of people, actually, that when we begin this work in coaching, majority of people find it difficult to articulate what they truly value. So it might sound like a really easy thing to do, telling somebody what's most important to you in your life or professional life or in a relationship. But surprisingly, if you haven't taken the time to really think about it and observe your behaviors, it might not be as clear as you think. And so, of course, in coaching, once we identify those core values, we take it further. We don't just take that on face value. We look at the behaviors that we take and the actions required to make any changes if there is misalignment. And that's okay, of course, if there is misalignment. It's not about blaming anyone or being hard on ourselves. It's actually quite normal. So this is usually a real light bulb moment for people. I love this moment where they realize that, oh, wow, I have been trying to create this life based on a bunch of values or a bunch of things that I thought were important to me. But in fact, I can see why I'm finding, why I'm having some of these troubles. And it gives us lots of room to move.
Does it? It would be truly transformative, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And so when you're not only clear about what your values are, as you were just talking about, but you know why they're important to you and how you want them to show up in your life, then you begin to move into alignment. And you can get a much clearer idea of what you want personally and professionally. And the wonderful thing about this is that you eliminate self-doubt. It's easier to make decisions. You feel calmer. You reduce anxiety. And this step is absolutely crucial for creating the life that you want that's meaningful and fulfilling.
Yeah, absolutely. A crucial part. So that leads into the fourth step, the I in brain, which is internal shift. And we're talking about an internal shift away from resistance. Okay, so it's very normal to feel resistance to something new, to change. I don't think there's anybody that I've ever met, myself included, that doesn't feel a little bit like, I really don't want to change. It's hard. After all, our brains are actually wired to keep us safe and comfortable. And, feeling discomfort or going through change is that feeling of discomfort. And so our brain, being super smart as it is, it's always going to take us on that path of least resistance. And what I mean by that is it means that we find it easier to do what we did yesterday than to do something new today. That's what a habit is, right? We form habits and we find them really easy to follow. That's our brain keeping us in that safe zone, that comfortable zone. So this is what leads us to do the same thing over and over again, wishing we could get different results and not really understanding why we're not getting them.
Sure, it's the resistance that often makes us feel stuck, isn't it?
Mm.
But an important thing to remember is when we feel this discomfort, we actually know that change is happening. And often when change happens, that's when opportunities can present themselves.
Mm.
And it's an opportunity to look at things from a different perspective so that we can continue moving and rather than getting stuck.
Yes. And, not going to sugarcoat this. This step can feel a bit icky, for want of a better word. Like I said, it can feel really uncomfortable, almost that, like you're kind of jumping out of your skin a little bit, because change is hard for most of us, dare I say, for all of us. But if you think about the last time that you changed a habit in your life, the last time you changed something, or, even the last time you learned something because you're learning something new, whatever it was, you had this moment, what did it feel like when it finally clicked? How good was that feeling where you finally realize, oh, I've changed something that I've been wanting to change. I'm doing it differently. I've created a new habit. I've learned something new. It's like that penny drops, isn't it? That light bulb moment, or perhaps even a feeling of relief. That's what happens when we get this internal shift. It's quite incredible.
It's almost like a physical feeling, isn't it? It's like
Yes.
something really has cogged into place in our mind.
Yes, we even talk about it like that, don't we? Say, oh, I just feel like this weight has been lifted.
Sure,
It's a
we
similar
do.
type of thing. Yeah.
Yes. So that brings us to the final part and last piece of this framework, and perhaps the most important is new strategies for new. Of course, they're all vital steps, just like the house and the building plans, the foundation, the walls, the roof. They're all vital components to the house. One is not much good without the other. And it's the same with this framework. But you can have all the information in the world, you can know all the steps and what's involved, but if you don't take action, what's going to happen? You're going to stay exactly where you are. And by that, I mean nothing is going to change.
Yes, exactly. And like you said, implementing new strategies is crucial. It's that implementation part. So when you become conscious, you understand the root cause, align your actions with your values, and you shift your internal narrative, every area of your life improves. And you do this by implementing the new strategies. And that's exactly what we do when we coach our clients, isn't it?
That's right, of course. And these improvements aren't just reserved to one part of our life. When we invest in new strategies, it's like that proverbial pebble being dropped in the pond or the lake. The ripples get bigger and bigger the closer they get to the shore. And we create this ripple effect in each area of our life, in our personal life, professional, and in our relationships with others. So it's a very profound change that we can begin to see in ourselves and others.
Yes. And I think that's a really interesting point to end that on, is that what we do ourselves creates that ripple effect. It has an impact on other people. So when
Sure
we're
does.
yeah, changing ourselves, when we're working on being the best version of ourselves, other people see this and they feel the impact, they feel the energy, and they may even start making changes themselves. And essentially, we're doing our bit to make this a better world.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, look, that wraps up our introduction to our proven 5-step brain framework. So, just to summarize those again, we've got become conscious. So that you know why you think, say, and do the things that you do and what you might want instead. Then we've got root cause. So, identifying the real underlying problem so that you can address that rather than finding a band-aid solution for the symptom that likely isn't going to last. Then we've got alignment. So get clear on your core values. You know, what's most important to you? Why is it important to you? What does it really mean to you? Not to anybody else, not to your parents, your partner, your friends. What does it mean to you, and how does that look in your life? Then internal shift, embrace the resistance and do it anyway. It's like this podcast, isn't it? You know, if we had waited until we were super confident on the mic, were, professional producers of podcasts, then you probably wouldn't be listening to us right now.
Never do it. Never do it.
Wouldn't have done it. Embrace the resistance or feel the fear and do it anyway. Okay. It's the only way that you'll grow. And then the last one, new strategies. So information is just information until you invest in new strategies. It's like buying the self-help books and reading them and then putting them back on the shelf and not implementing anything that you've read. All right, you've got to implement the new strategies, which is what we help people with in our coaching and also in our Mind Masters Collective.
Sure. And, this is just a mere glimpse or the what of what we do into the 5-step framework that is guaranteed to get the results you want. And we've shared with you why it's important. Of course, you still need to know how to do this.
Yeah, of course. There's only so much we can share in a 20-minute podcast.
That's
But
right.
that's what we teach in our Mind Masters Collective. And what that is, it's a community of like-minded people, essentially, and they're all wanting the same thing. They want to take back control of their own mind, make positive changes, and ultimately get lasting results. So it's kind of like improving your mental fitness. Now, what I mean by that, I'm not talking about doing crosswords and Sudoku to keep your mind active. I'm talking about learning how to retrain your brain so that you get the results that you truly want, rather than, as you were saying earlier, simply going through the motions. So Mind Masters is a monthly program. It's packed with value. It includes live masterclasses, group mastermind coaching, easy to follow exercises. And those exercises really help you understand yourself better and create that change that we're talking about. And there are also options for private one-on-one coaching within the collective as well. And the best thing is we offer you the first month for free. So that's right. There's no charge for the first month. We really want you to come in and see what it's all about. See how much value is packed into the collective and how much it's going to help you change your life for the better. And it's really, really easy to get started. You simply visit our website, moonbeammonday.com.au/mind-masters, and you'll see all the benefits there. And of course, I will pop the link into the show notes today as well.
Well, we really hope that you've not only found these insights helpful today, but it has ignited in you a real desire to investigate what changes you can make in your life. And to ask yourself the question, actually, why should you do this? Remember, becoming conscious of how your mind works and addressing the root causes of any issues, aligning with your values, making that internal shift and implementing these new strategies or taking action can absolutely transform your life.
Yes, too true. Absolutely. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us for another episode of The Brain Changes today. If you have any questions or you want to share your experiences, we absolutely welcome that. We love hearing from you. So feel free to reach out to us. And until next time, Remember, your brain is your most powerful tool. And when you change your mind, you change your life. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Brain Changes. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation today. Please like and subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. Our mission is to reach as many people as possible to help them revolutionize the way they think so they can change their brain and create profound transformation. Please help us broaden our reach by sharing this episode with someone you know will benefit. And remember to tag us on socials at Moonbeam Monday and leave a review. And remember, when you change your mind, you change your life. We'll catch you next time for another episode of The Brain Changes.